So what I've learned so far is Kaiser Permanente is two great partners in the Pacific Coast Farmers Market Association, well actually with the Southland Farmers Market Association now, and also the Community Alliance for Family Farmers. The organizations that are supporting you and supporting Kaiser Permanente to get this done, I see them as universal adapters, if you will, translating what's available with the demand that we're trying to create in our medical care program. We may never get all of our food grown locally, as I mentioned, but there's still going to be some of us that we're going to need to get in the winter. People are still going to want to figure out how to serve our patients in the hospital. But we can continue progress being involved in local and small farmers in order. As a result of that, this is a little bit hyperbole. I couldn't believe that the Chronicle puts out Shea Kaiser. I haven't yet made a reservation to go to my hospital for dinner, and I probably won't. But what I do know is this: for the first time in about 30 years, doing surveys about patients, their perception and their satisfaction with the flavor and the freshness and the quality of their meals is going up. Patients are absolutely noticing the difference. When they get that little fresh peach on their tray, they are delighted. It brings back a flood of memories about good food that they had with their kids. People talk about it in our hospital. So it's a real good thing. And not only have we had some press in the newspapers, but I mean, coming up soon on the Bay Area is on Channel 7, will be a whole segment about the local sourcing program, working with those collaborative. The reporters will out filming the wintertime sickness coming in. They film patients at the hospital. They'll be out to the farms where that sickness was grown, and there will be a piece that perhaps will be available to you on the Coast Council's website at some point. But you'll be able to see the local media's perception too of what's going on. Now, by starting these food programs at the farmers markets and going on into the hospital side, where the organizations do this, they create vision statements. Now, this is the vision statement that I try to live by when I come to work and when I'm spending time working on Kaiser Permanente's food system. Have we had an impact? Well, to go from 22 farmers supported, working with a collaborative of 75, to see their food getting into some universities and some schools, and to see that the people coming to Kaiser Permanente farmers markets, when surveyed, actually believe that it's making a difference. To me, that's an impact. Now, I get a lot of anecdotes, and I have patients of mine. One patient of mine has been on TV several times now. She has said that thanks to the farmers market, that her doctor made her go to. She's been a patient of mine for 30 years. This woman is this tall. She's from Richmond. She bosses me around. And she says jump, I say how high and what direction. But I've delivered her babies and I've worked with her over time. And she and I kind of tussle with each other. I've made some deals with her. But said at the very least, she's got to try it from and I wrote out a recipe. I remember it was the first one. I wrote it out for arugula with a wire lemon vinaigrette. And made her go out there and told her to just try one thing from the farmer's market. She's back in our market and open now. In 2 years, she's dropped about 10 pounds, and she likes talking about it to me when she gets it. So it does have an impact. It gives health providers a forum to talk about what's most important to the people. And ultimately, what we're doing in our program translates back. This is Mr. Chalban. It's his cherry tomatoes that were on the trays when we first started our program trying to get the food into the inpatient setting. What I learned about Mr. Barrett is that he's got 9 acres of leased land in this area. and that it was important to him to know that if he grew X number of acres of cherry tomatoes, and the gentleman was talking about how important it is to know what you're going to plant. Well, just what if over time, Kaiser, Permanente, and the other institutions, the other big institutional purchasers say, we value this relationship, we want your food, and we know that next August, for example, we will need this many pounds of this kind of food because we already can predict how many people we are going to have in the hospital, and we already know what our menu rotation is going to be. We're going to need this many cherry tomatoes, this many zucchinis, this much lettuce, this many melons. We know this ahead of time. And what I'm thinking will be valuable for everybody will be for us to be able to say, this is the product we need, and for you to know that there's a guaranteed customer, rather than just growing something and putting it into the market and hoping that it gets picked up. So the concept of reproduction planning, I'm understanding, may be of value. And that's something that I think that we can be able to look to as another step in this process. Now, everything is not totally rosy in all of this work. Look, the Pacific Coast Farmers Market Association managing markets depends on stall fees to make its overhead. And what I've learned from Pat Coast is that when there's a 2-week freeze here in the valley, or there's a 6 weeks rain, obviously there's just a normal seasonality that has a huge impact on the farmers markets and how many vendors there are, how many farmers there are to be able to come to markets. And if the stall fees go down, then the overall support for Pat Coast for their year-long staff, for all their overhead, for their operations, the revenues have to be there. Now, a small market at a hospital may not have enough, does not have enough vendors to meet the stall fees that the Market Association really needs. Looking at new models to help to expand business even further. One of them is going to be called, and these are pilots that I hope will be started within the next month. One of them will be a best-in-market program. And just maybe this is applicable to other farmers markets, not just hospital-based markets, but it goes something like this. Human beings sometimes won't walk more than 100 feet out of the way, even if there's a farmer's market there. I've watched this happen. So if that's the case, what happens if we take some people who don't get to the market and bring food to them? And by that I'm talking about the anesthesiologists and surgeons and nurses that are in the operating room all day long. I'm talking about the nurses, doctors, and staff in the emergency room that may be dealing with healthcare problems all day long, literally never get a chance to come out to the hospital market. Well, what we're going to do on market days is say today's $20 bag is the best stuff we have is a mix of a pint of strawberries, a pound of heirloom tomatoes, a head of butter lettuce, a loaf of Bible Bills, whole grain bread, $4 corsage with flour vendor, and we're going to have it available in the bag for you to get. Now, most departments in a hospital, most departments in a corporation will find a designated shopper, right? Usually the shopper goes out for lattes from Starbucks, or they go out for, some sort of food for lunch. Well, what we're looking for in our hospitals are designated shoppers who down the farmer's market with a fistful of $20 bills, and then you take bags of fresh fruits and vegetables back up to the people who would like to shop here. So we're hoping to extend the reach to the farmers.